Welcome back, everybody, to the AGE April Open here in Redondo Beach at Collector Legion. I'm Sam O'Byrne. This is Blake Meyer. Blake, tell the people what they want to hear.
Round 5.
Round 5, baby. What are we looking at?
We are going to watch two people walk in. They're going to be playing 60 card decks, 40 health, and heroes that are not really played very well. We're watching an exhibition match type deal. You would think maybe this isn't round 5 of a tournament where people can win $400, but it's maybe just two people having fun because we have our Levia, Shadowborn, and Abomination player, Alan, against the Wanderer of Katsu from Nicholas Snyder. Nick Snyder is a former top 2 battle hardened from the last LA battle hardened. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Did you watch that stream?
I did watch that stream.
He's on the right today. Still looks like Nicholas. He's ready to go. What's interesting about this is Alan showed up with some fun stuff today, but doesn't get to show all of it on stream because we have our Arcane Games and Event mat. But what kind of mat was he playing on earlier?
He was playing on the pressed paper, very creased, ancient new player mat that when I saw it, I thought the only thing I thought was it looked almost as bad as his actual hero card. His Levia, it's ripped, it's taped back together. He has another name of it taped on the side there. And he actually made eye contact with me. He said, hey, come over here. And I was like, why? And I walked over and he just cheekily pointed to his pitch, and it was just one titanium bobble. And he just looked at me with the biggest ass-eating grin on his face. Just so stoked to be playing that game. And I don't think he took that one, but he is 3-1 on the day. So he has won 3 games with titanium bobble.
That's great. And, oh no, not Soul Harvest going immediately. I think what's interesting about this is Nick Snyder, recent adopter of Katsu. He's a big arcane shooter guy.
Is that what they're called? Is that the technical term?
Magic user. We don't say magic user in Flesh and Bloods. I think we say arcane shooter guy. Immediately gonna use our white border scab skin. That's gonna get us 2 action points. 2 action points. If he does that every single game, every single turn, Nick will be blown out here.
So this is gonna be in a command and conquer to start things off, not with go again, but with 2 action points. It very well might, it just as well might have it. He's gonna go ahead and block with maybe the 2 Lord of Wings, but here's that pummel.
Pummel will do gross stuff to Nick because it's basically gonna say, I'm gonna do damage and reset you completely, and then I get initiative right back. The Bonds of Ancestry is gone from Arsenal. The Dishonor is gone from hand, and then I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, so that was a brutal start to the game here for Nick. He's going to maybe just go ahead and...
I think you just block here. It's not the worst thing ever because what's the card? We're going to Bonds of... No. Yes, Bonds of Ancestry because we need this to be in the graveyard so we can go banish it from our deck to play it.
The Dishonor, yeah.
Having Dishonor be in the graveyard early is never a bad thing when we're trying to do that combo.
So Alan's going to go ahead and start his turn off. By rolling a die off the table.
Oh, we don't know.
Let's go ahead and try that again. He's just going to grab another die. Someone else will grab that one.
Nick is already over this. And it's only 2 die rolls in.
All
That's a 2. Nick's going to celebrate by blinking. I think we're going to... What's interesting here is we have a... This round's on me. That says no Kodachis here. Daggers are not allowed in this bar.
Nick also electing to just bring the 2 Kodachis in against... I think the Phi matchup, he brought in a Zephyr Needle that he registered today, but just going for the classic Kodachis here. Going to go ahead and draw up to 5 cards as a result of this round on me being played. So
5-card Katsu is not fun, but taking 1 off of every damage is probably a lot of breakpoints. That's not that scary. Endless Maw, this is going to be something where, okay, we're looking for a 6, and then it's going to buff this up to 9 damage, I believe. This is the red one.
This is just 1 card or 3 cards?
We're going to banish 3 cards from graveyard.
We need to hit 1/6, huh?
Yes, please.
So when looking at a matchup like this, you being a faithful Rhinar player, are you happy to see Levia do it, or do you feel like that's not really, doesn't really, like, you don't feel
there's
kinship?
still Blood Rush Bellows in that. Anytime somebody's Blood Rush Bellowing, I'm having fun. So I'd be rooting for him. Oh, no. Are they going to keep the 4? This could change everything.
This could change everything. It looks as though...
They're going to redo
it because Alan went ahead and touched that die.
Nick
you saw him whip his hand away as fast as he could.
Too slow. Titanium Bauble is interesting because are we doing it for fun or are we doing it because it's really good in this deck?
You have to imagine we're doing it mostly
Perfect.
for the memes.
That is
right?
a perfect hit because that one doesn't have blood debt.
That's true.
Mostly for the memes. Okay, keep going.
You have to imagine a Titanium
Okay.
Baubles for the memes, right?
I mean,
Especially when he's calling people over to look at it. He just has the one in there.
because that could be a clearing bellow, and then that would be a Titanium Bauble with Intimidate on it.
Which
So
seems better, right?
Right. I think Alan is some. I don't want to say. I wish more people like Alan, but I do like that he has the joie de vivre to bring something new to the game instead of just like, this is how the math works and this is better. He's just ripping dice on you, dropping 9 damage, and also turning off half of your offense next turn.
Yeah.
And none of that is like, I don't think this is a normal. What am I trying to say? Line of play in this deck, right?
Yeah. So not worried about on-hit effects later in the game and or potential further pummels, it seems, because he's just going to go ahead and cash in the battle-worn block right away. Maybe thinking he wants to make use of the breaking scales as soon as possible or the Breeze Rider boots, because breaking scales allowing him to bump up an attack with combo by 1 as an attack reaction. Breeze Rider boots allowing him to turn all of his combo cards into go again attacks as long as 1 card hits. So maybe he's more thinking about using them effectively than getting them using them as like a blocking card at a critical point. Because he is reaching for that Heart and Cross Trap, which we didn't pay much attention to start this game off, but Heart and Cross Trap is going to make his first attack on the turn that costs 2 or more, costs 2 or less, costs 2 less. So this is going to be for
a free Surging Strike basically every game, but instead of 5, now it's for 4.
Yeah, which is critical going into Alan here, because Alan, if he wishes to, could just block 4 with the Crown of Providence and the Scabskin Leathers. So without some other way to get that.
The crazy thing is, I'm part of the old school way to block this is you always take the first Surging Strike because you need to block the other stuff coming later.
Yeah.
Way more, and you just say, I'll take 5 damage 4 times a game because I still have 40 health.
Yeah.
He's choosing to block.
Doing that exact thing. He's going to go ahead and resolve the crown. Alan also rocking a Heart and Cross Trap, his of the much, classier white border variety.
Right.
But this is going to look like it's going to be the
Which Gust Wave is it?
Descendant Gust Wave. This is going to be free, coming in for
0 for 4, -1 is 0 for 3. There's
there
not
is no
a 3 on that die.
It's okay, Nick.
No matter how many times you turn it around.
They didn't give us one. They
Wow.
only had the up like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dang.
I know.
Attacks of 3 or less are not valuable for this. What is this company called? Legend Story Studios.
I believe, yeah.
Can't count the under 4 in New Zealand. We're still doing damage though. Like, Alan, I don't think you care about this one. Maybe if you like your hand, you don't block this.
Yeah, he's working with 5 now after that Crown of Providence effect from the arsenal, putting it to the bottom and grabbing another card. You got to think he's worried about, or at least considering Mask of Momentum, but this is the first attack on the chain. So by blocking here, you put yourself in a harder position later in the chain. So let's see how he wants to do it. The other thing that Levia does sometimes want to do, though, is just put some cards with 6 or more attack into the graveyard to be banished for later in the game.
Right. I think another thing here is the only on-hit that could come out is Dishonor. So I need to save my blocks for that.
Yep.
Unless, just like we were talking about last month in this exact scenario, Alan plays less blood debt than you think. There's going to be a couple Endless Maw. There's going to be a couple Endless Maw. Oh, Deadwood Rumbler. And Soul Harvest I don't think has it. So it's basically only like 5. So Dishonor means nothing. But did Nicholas watch the video on demand from last? Did you do your
the VOD
Arcane Game Events homework?
Because he's going to go ahead and grab that Bonds of Ancestry, which is going to most likely threaten the Dishonor at the end of this. He did activate Katsu upon the hit of the Descendant Gust Wave here.
Dropping it down. Bonds of Ancestry.
Now,
it's interesting. I maybe wouldn't grab a red one because it's going to do -1. And you can just do something cheeky like, okay, block this 2 damage one. He's like, okay, I'm going to banish Dishonor, and then Dishonor's going to come in for 3. Yeah. So he's just going to require cards from Alan's hand, or he's going to get Dishonored. I think Alan's going to go, yeah, I'll take 6, bro. Like, and give me that Dishonor too, because 5-card Levia is about to drop 25 or something.
Yeah, and Nick did go ahead and cash in those breaking scales to bump the yellow Descendant Gust Wave up to 4, which, because it would have been, it got the -1 from the this rounds on me, so to make it hit, he went ahead and attack
Does it
reacted.
have to hit to get something? Oh,
You
to
to
get
get
hero
Katsu,
power.
yeah.
That's what we care about, Blake. Got it. The
So
boots are Nick. I don't know if I should ruin his deck for people at home. This is kind of what commentators do, though. He has built his deck around to have a crazy Breeze Rider boots turn.
mhm.
So he's gonna do a big damage attack, big turn with his other equipment, knowing that he still has a Breeze Rider turn to bump damage out of nowhere. Where you're like, I never expected that.
Yeah.
5 damage on your use 2 equipment turn feels really bad though.
Yeah.
We know this is going to get pummeled if you paid attention to the hand. And Nick here can't afford to block all of this. So I think he may just be like, oh, what's the worst that could happen?
So yeah, you look at a turn like this swing big here is only powered on because of Alan's Heart and Cross Trap, because Alan choosing not to bring a card like Carrion Husk into this matchup.
Right.
People say is one of the single best reasons to play any Shadow hero in the game, and we only have one right now. And Carrion Husk is with such a strong blocking ability.
And I think when you go face up against that, Flick Flack will do what it needs to do.
He's going to make that Quicken token. He's going to block the whole thing, keep his arsenal.
Okay, I think he's just going to say, draw 4, pass. That was great.
Yeah, that was sick.
Nick had what he needed to do there. Alan's probably like, okay, as long as I draw a Blood Rush Bellow, I don't really care. And he
Okay.
immediately draws it. But Nick's
Breaking
like,
the Quicken right away. Interesting. Just pushing the 3 damage. Yeah.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want to set yourself up for a 5-card hand, having a Quicken token to, like, if you wanted to start with some combo piece, or
If we're being honest, Katsu doesn't really work of having, like, at best, you're going to play a combo ender to start off and then start a combo, which probably is crappy anyway.
Yep.
So maybe it's like, oh, what else am I going to... Everything I want to play first has Go Again written on it already.
Sure.
Who cares about this Quicken token?
Yeah, and the Flusterfist here, let's see, does he have just the... No, he has 3 red Flusterfists, so he you know, I've been seeing some people running just like it as a 1-up to fetch off of
Right.
Katsu just as a 0 for 4, just to grab something with combo.
That's how the people in Odyssey have been using that. So 2 damage goes through, but then it's my turn to play, and I think this is going to be a... Ooh. That is the best card to draw when you have a Blood Rush in hand, but how lucky does Alan feel?
We saw last tournament, that card did not go incredibly well for him, did it?
Dice is off the table. We don't know what it is. It's a 1. 1 is the worst one to get.
Gonna go ahead and break the gambler's gloves, try to get a better result.
Really greedy. That's the best one you could get. Nick showing no emotion on his face. He's seen this before from other people. Claws coming in. That is so weird. Alan knows what he's doing, but that's interesting use of the 6. He's just gonna... I want to claw and save a Blood Rush for later. He is gonna do 30 damage next turn.
Yeah, and so Nick showing a...
Unless Command and Conquer.
Yeah, totally. Nick, I've seen him. His round 1 was into a, pounder aggressive dash. He fatigued that dash. He did 2 defensive Art of Wars. So Nick is comfortable blocking, though it does look like he blocked on that turn at least, considering the ability of having his Kodachis to turn on the Mask of Momentum.
Right.
He went to attack with the Kodachi, realized it's not going to do anything because of the this rounds and me, and is now just going to draw up. Alan's going to go ahead and...
That's got to feel bad.
Yeah.
A 1 here ruins his life.
All right. 3 is this. Oh, there it is.
The bobble is here. The bobble has to be immediately pitched.
Because we can't get anything discarded.
But I think he's got the blue Savage. He's got the blue... What's the one in there that I'm always like, what are you doing with this in there? Is it Smash Instincts? There's some blues that he runs that are 4 damage that don't quite fit. Maybe those are the pack hunts. I think those are pack hunts. Honestly, Flesh and Blood, the only thing I wish was a little better was the ability to see if the yellow strip or blue strip. What's interesting here is we have a 6 damage attack with a blue. When we have a Blood Rush and Arsenal, I don't really know what's going... I think that is pack hunt that
Yep.
are those colors.
Yep.
I don't really know what's going on here because I would have blood rushed by now. So Alan has a different plan, and I wonder what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna be spectators like the rest of us. So-
Because currently he's gone so different than what I have done that I am just like, okay.
and if you're Nick here, you've now gotten every piece of equipment block out of
Right.
your opponent. So all these Kodachis are harder to block from now on.
And that's a Savage Feast blue, I think. That's the one I'm trying to talk about of like blue pack hunt. Thank
Yeah,
God.
that is pack hunt, yeah.
Okay,
That is
blue
pack hunt.
pack hunt. So that's why he didn't play the
Blood
Blood
Rush.
Rush because he had 2 blues, and that's where yes, Titanium Bauble is going to be a different color anyway, but it does suck that I couldn't Blood Rush for free because I had 2 things in my hand. Titanium Bauble, if it's Clearing Bellow or Barraging Beatdown, you can intimidate and go. So yes, we're having less fun, but he could have moved in all in last turn instead of this turn.
So
We're gonna do some damage though. Look at this hand.
This is gonna be a big because this is 5. We're using the 2 floating. We see at least a swing big. A couple other powerful brute cards that are gonna be buffed by the Blood Rush Bellow. Alan sitting at 31 to Nicholas's 33. We're on Alan's turn as Nicholas is gonna decide how much he wants to block.
I think this is a matchup where I am not great at playing against Katsu with our good friend Brutes. I think this is also a great time to have Flick Flack in your hand because you're going to block both of these claws perfectly. But then here's 10. And do you give 9 here or do you only give 6 and hope for the best? Because going down by 4 only puts you at 28. And if you only really leak 5 damage on a Blood Rush turn, I feel like that's a good cycle for you.
Yeah, and Alan's going to be without an arsenal on his next turn. Now, Nick was content to just throw that Flick Flack out on just raw damage. We saw him use it incredibly effectively to block a swing big with a pummel on top of it, get his quicken token. But here he was happy to just use it on the Mandible Claw, take 1. He's going to block 6 on that big attack for 10. Looks like he's just going to arsenal up and pass back.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan's still sitting at that 31. Nick, though, now down to 29. Like you said, not leaking an enormous amount of damage, and we're going to see what can Alan really do off just a 4-card hand, no arsenal. Is he going to have to, looks like, once again, we're starting all these turns off with Scabskins. It's 4. So
I think most of his strategy is I want to play Command and Conquer and something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty good something else of get a card out of your hand because Nick's going to have a bunch of 2 blocks. And if I get a card out of your hand and you block this and then I show up Command and Conquer, you're just going to have no turn next turn at all.
And he is going to, it looks like Alan does have a Sink Blow in his hand to park in that arsenal, which will probably sit there until he needs to use it. So that's a great card to have at the end of this chain.
Because I think he'll pitch the Sink Below to play Command and Conquer, though.
He only has 1 floating. Yeah. You're totally right.
So that's going to come in. Nick guesses right, though, of not blocking the 6 damage that doesn't have an on-hit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's either going to, it's kind of like, which cards do I want here? Because you can't have all 5. Should you block with a couple in your hand to keep the 1 in your arsenal, or do you care more about the ones you would block with? I think the pummels, we've seen 1 pummel from Alan. He has 8. He's been pitching pummels.
Yeah, so they'll be coming back later.
I think it's interesting of Nick having the counter, having the defense reaction is probably why he's not way out of this game, because Alan's been on the offensive completely here. And this is just an interesting style of play from Levia, I feel like. Because it's not like, Dread Screamer, Dread Screamer, Dread Screamer. He's using his shoes as Dread Screamers. So he doesn't get a whole bunch of blood die.
Yeah. We haven't, as you said, we haven't really seen that come into play at all. He's basically using Levia for just the couple well above rate Shadow Brute cards, but not basing his entire game plan around it.
Nick is looking deep. None of those things say block 6, so he's going to need 2 of them. We see the Gust Wave in there.
He's got an Art of War in his hand.
That sucks. He wants to keep the Art of War and get full damage, but he's against the card that he can't do that with. Alan's shaking his head. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
So he's going to take another point of damage there, lose the card from his arsenal, which was a yellow Searching Strike.
But now Kadachi lock is ready to go. If you don't have defense, you don't have equipment to block any Kadachis anymore.
Yeah. You have to wonder, can Nick get Alan to that point before he just eats too much damage? Because this is just going to be an attack for one. He's going to Arsenal the Art of War, though. So depending on how much Alan... Now Alan's once again just faced with a 4-card hand. We're going to have to see what he can really swing together. He hasn't really been punished yet by the Scabskins. The one time he got the one, he was able to cash into those gamblers. But those are gone now. And so now Nick he's going to go for the roll, facing into an Art of War next turn.
Oh.
We're getting a 5. He's getting 2 action points. This is how this deck has to do it, though, right? Like, you have the natural downsides of some of these Brute cards. You have to find the advantages where you can. And, like, if you're going to play this hero, you just need to roll well on a lot of your turns.
I think what's interesting is Alan is doing the ill-advised version of everything. I'm doing the rolling dice into my opponent's crotches. I am just literally going to beat you playing as recklessly as possible. I'm going to be doing fun things like let's do we're going to pitch an extra thing for Claw. Like I think it's something where Alan, you're not playing with your food, but you're just like getting away from the restrictions of the rule book and conventional wisdom and saying, I'm going to do this stuff my way and just intimidate you a bunch and still do this much damage.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm definitely not like a Brute aficionado, but I didn't realize how many of these cards just have Intimidate printed on them. You think of it as so ubiquitous with Rhinar himself, but he's able to get these Intimidate triggers off just by playing Brute cards. And Nick's taking all of this damage here, like we talked about. He's going to go ahead and eat Alan's whole turn to try to clap back with a 5-card Art of War turn of his own. You have to imagine that's going to be cashed in here. Maybe this will be that Breeze Rider Boots turn you were talking about, because he's just going to go ahead and start things off with this Art of War, draw some cards, and buff all of the attacks for the rest of this entire turn.
He's going to need something juicy off the top. Because right now, Alan's holding a Sink Below, which I think is a great space to be in for him. Even if these are all blues, Nick is fine.
Yeah, you want to have a card, hopefully, to discard to Katsu. You want to have maybe a card to continue with these Kadachis to threaten the mask. You still have that online. We haven't really seen Nick be able to threaten Mask of Momentum yet. And Alan has been sometimes blocking, but he's at 30. He's been doing a lot of the attacking. And this is Alan's 30 to Nick's 9. So you're going to have to see a huge turn from Nick relatively soon, or else Alan has so much of a life lead that he's going to be able to take the damage and then throw lethal damage back.
I'm interested in what Nick was looking for in discard pile. He's like, okay, which Gust Wave can I go look for? We're trying to hit here. I think I mentioned take 5 every time. Maybe this is the time where you're like, I can block 6 here. I can try to shut up my opponent and claw him to death for the rest of the game and play it the quote-unquote safe way. I think Alan's like probably has said screw that to every other time to safe way, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, I'll just take 6 and let you do whatever you want with your hero power.
Which looks like it's just going to be coming in for another 6.
You already have this in here. 6 plus 6 is going to be 12. Can you block half your life for free? Is he just going to naturally have Dishonor in hand? That's not what's going to happen today. What's the best follow-up to this? Would just be another 5 more for another 0 for 4 that gets bumped by 1.
Yeah, most likely. And he did go ahead and pitch that blackout kick to turn on that first surging. And so now by taking the 6 of the first chain link here, if you were wanting to block at some point in this turn, blocking the second or third chain link is gonna, turn off that Mask of Momentum, which we just have not been able to see do much of anything in this game.
I don't think Breeze Rider Boots doesn't have anything on there where it's like you have to use this the first time you hit something.
I think it's just when it hits.
Anytime you could say go again. So if Alan gives up a mass trigger, maybe he could say I'm gonna go again and just hope. We see the Blood Rush in Alan's hand. So blocking some of this is interesting. This is gross.
This is the best one you could have had, right? This is going to go ahead and get another card to continue this chain.
Try the Dishonor. That's what he was counting, is how many Dishonor are in which zones. Is there still one in my deck?
But again, like how... I mean, this Dishonor here...
6 plus 4 plus 5 is gross.
Wow, and Alan's going to go ahead and let this mask trigger happen. He just takes 4. That's going to trigger the Mask of Momentum. So Nick is going to continue to go here if he's able to. It looks like he might have drawn a Surging Strike, so that might just be popped in the arsenal. Because it looks like Alan, he has that Blood Rush Bellow in hand. He's just going to try to use that on his next turn.
But he's going to be dishonored, so he's not going to be able to get rid of Blood Debt. Oh, no. He's like,
you know what to do, Alan. You know what to do.
So we're putting a card in arsenal, and we're going to hope we draw our defensive cards if we're Nick. Alan's just trying to, let's put this away. If Alan rolls Scabskins right now, he's crazy.
And we're just going to Blood Rush first.
And now let's see how many damage we do to ourselves. Maybe it's 8, like last month. Nicholas is going for the, we're going to intimidate, but that's not how this hero works. Because it's not Reinhardt.
Jason saying Nick looks flustered playing at Alan's pace. I'm going to lovingly tell you that Nick just kind of looks like that when he plays.
Nick is one of also hatingly the slowest people playing cards sometimes.
He just thinks through his turns. He's just always like this, but he's very good and he's very respectful.
I think what's interesting, we're at 11 and 9 after everything that's been done.
Yeah.
Alan's having 3 or 4 pretty good turns. And Nick's having 1 Art of War turn just erases all that, but that's kind of by design of, I think I can win off of a 5+5 plus something else.
Now, we do see that Command and Conquer in the hand for Alan here, which could just represent another 5 damage.
But it's not great because you don't get the bonus.
You don't get the Blood Rush. Yeah, it's just the Arsenal threatening, which, like, hey, Command and Conquer is a good card. It has been since it was printed, but if you're trying, you took a lot of damage to establish this Blood Rush Bellow turn, so, like, imagine he wants to be throwing more brute cards than generics.
I think it's interesting. This is just a different way of playing brute. Of your like, I'm playing pummels. I'm playing disruption of Command and Conquers. I am playing maybe more like a Guardian, but I still have access to Blood Rush, and that's a little bit scarier for a Katsu than just straight damage Reinhardt or straight damage Levia, because I do have to worry about, am I going to get pummeled? Obviously, you can't pummel one of these 5 damage claws, but the Command and Conquer is just going to go in the arsenal.
Yeah. This 5 damage, Nick is able to take it if he wants to have a 4-card hand, go down to 2.
He's got another Art of War, right? Is that what that is? He's doing it. He's doing it.
He's going down to 2.
He's Kodachi. He's claw locked. He's going to have to block every single turn for the rest of the game, because claws will come in for 3. We got people waving into the fishbowl right now.
So let's see how Nick, I think that was a red Surging Strike that he drew off the mask on his last turn.
That's great. That's what we want to see if we're Team Ninja. Everyone in the chat, right? I'm Team Ninja if you're Team Ninja.
Or what do they type if they're not Team Ninja?
I'm Team Shadow Brute.
Cool. Making them type way more words.
That's all I could think of in such short notice. Nick is definitely... Nick has beat me with this deck before, so it's not like...
And you're really good.
Yeah.
You're really, really good.
No, it's one of those things where he is just... We got the Reckless Swing range, of course. How many Reckless Swings do you think are in Alan's deck? Normally there's 3. Guess how many Alan has?
How many?
Just 1.
Just 1.
Just play.
You want to know why? Because
let's mess around and find out.
He's gonna draw when he needs it.
Yeah, I think that's so funny. Of like, Alan is just playing a different game right now. He came up with his friends. He's like, It's not like he's trying to beat us and rub our faces in it, but it's something of like, if I was playing a meta deck, I would always win. I'm trying to have fun today too. Let me just play some really bad cards in a unique way that can do what we need to do.
Yeah.
And if he just immediately plays Reckless Swing right now,
imagine
that'd be hilarious. It'd be like when you're 3-1, you're correct. You get to walk away and say, maybe I know more about what I'm doing than you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Nick is thinking about the Reckless Swing here. I had a draft game a week and a half ago where I forgot you just can't go to 1 against Riptide, even if you're going to win on the next turn, because you can just die.
That's the traps hit first.
Yep. That was my first game into Riptide.
Dude, I remember Riptide. He was such a cool
That
hero.
was cool, right? That was fun.
What happened to him?
What happened? The milk carton. Have you seen this fishmonger?
I wish they would give Ranger better cards so we could get Riptide in the middle.
Yeah, that's what it would be, right? Is if
Yeah.
Ranger got some support, you think Riptide would be
I
good?
mean, the next 4 sets need to have
Some Ranger support.
specialization Riptide written on every Ranger card.
Hook, line, and sinker. That's
Okay,
what
we're
it stands.
Arting of War. That's what was taking a little bit longer. What are we going to do? We're going to add 1 for the whole turn, cutting his life bar in half, getting 2 cards randomly off the top. Are those good ones?
They're
They
okay.
didn't look like an immediate, oh, hell yeah.
One's another surging strike and then a blackout kick, so I don't think they're going to do too much for Nick here.
None of those have, they need to save a 4 on it because that'll get bumped to 5. We'd also need Alan to, of course, not block to make it an, does he get there? Oh, we've got a hero power.
Oh, true. He can.
That's
going to
be the one to get the gust wave that does a 0 for 5 for free.
That's pretty good.
That turns into a 6.
Yep.
Alan, what are you doing?
Alan has an unmovable in his hand. I did see one of those.
He's going to have to use it.
He's going to, yeah. He's going to
Just use it there.
He's going to have
Now
to
there's
use it.
another one.
Yeah.
It's 1
I did-
6
I
or
thought-
2
yeah,
6.
He took the time.
What are you doing, bro?
He did take a time to think about it. I was like, oh, that's why,
Yeah.
All right, so we're
oh,
gonna
the
go
hero power. Whoops.
get rid of the rising Nithras.
We're going to go grab this 0 for 5 that turns into 6. He somehow still has...
Oh.
The other one.
The other one.
This is a 0 for 5 now.
Yeah.
That if this hits, I draw a card off the top.
So we have to imagine this one's going to get
This
blocked.
one would get unmovable. Unless Alan's really playing 5D chess and says, I'll just die.
Yeah.
The go again is there, so we could Kadachi, but Kadachi is not strong enough. So we hope this is a 0 for 4 that
It's
turns into 0 for 5.
It's a yellow surging
It's
strike.
a
So
Arsenal pass.
it's going right into the arsenal.
Pummel kills him.
Lots of things kill him. We're at 5-2. We've got the peanut gallery in the back watching. We've got our esteemed founder.
Command and conquer. He's gonna bluff the pummel. No, he can't bluff the pummel.
Yep.
Math's not there, Blake. It's just a command and conquer for 6. Take it. It's just a simple math problem. Nick's gonna assess all of his cards. He's gonna go, okay, this one's at the beginning of the chain. We'll use, and then he's gonna use the 2 worst damaging cards to block here. Except some of his are gonna say 2 blocks.
And every turn that we continue to play in this game, we're getting potentially closer to that reckless swing. There's only one on the
Right.
list. I have not been keeping track and seeing if it's been
Right.
pitched or anything like that.
But
Because if it hasn't, we're getting there.
But I'm just gonna call it whenever we do reckless swing. Alan's gonna wait until it's beast within, and then try and kill himself too. Like he's gonna do something crazy like that. Kadachi's coming in, block with a blood rush.
There it is.
Oh, and he was waiting for blood rush. If he was waiting for that, gotta play Oasis or you're dead. 6. Hopefully it's beast within. That's the only way he can win. Reincarnate.
That's going to do it.
Sheesh.
2 damage off the 1 reckless swing. He only needed the 1. That's why you only play 1. It's because you just draw it when you need it, dude.
Alan
Come
is
on.
smarter. Alan knows his deck. Alan knows his play style. I think what's something too is like, I don't know if you've heard this story 500 times, but it's like, what's the hardest to play against? Is somebody playing against the book or something?
That you're not expecting.
Like,
yeah.
how does a poker pro lose $100,000? Somebody shows up and just does something weird.
Yeah.
And so this is something weird of, oh, you've been playing against not the 17 Levias in your meta, but maybe the brute players in your meta.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something different. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to style on you. I don't get punished by ever drawing a 1 off of scab skins, rolling a 1 off of scab skins. He's showing the titanium bauble and laughing at it. It's something where it's like, this isn't villainous, but it's kind of like, damn, I would hate if this happened to me. I would be like, man, it's a lot more fun to watch this happen than it happens to you.
Yeah, you have to wonder, is he pulling that titanium bobble out every single time and just being like, hey, did you know I beat you with this in my deck?
I mean,
Because that's a little bit what it looks like is happening.
that's a good way to be like, I'm the evil one here.
He's not. He's but the bobble one.
Just kidding. That's been the cough the whole day. I'm excited that a Brute won. We're 4-1 in Brute. Kind of crazy. We did kick the camera.
Yeah, that was me. I kicked the camera.
We're gonna put it back here. I think we're gonna break for about 37 seconds, or maybe a little bit longer, and then we'll be right back for a barraging Blake segment, and then we'll have our final round of Swiss. Some people will go eat some cheese, and we'll announce top 8.
Who's eating cheese?
Swiss. I don't know. It was the next thing that came to my mind.
Oh, I see. We'll see you shortly. Don't go anywhere.